What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? You beat your wife, you kick a pup. We'll find your crimes and rake it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your price. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
Hello, hello, hello from the intergalactic headquarters of Xenu TV, broadcasting throughout this entire sector of the galaxy and concentrating here at the capital city of our planet, TGAC, in Clearwater, Florida. I'm happy you're here with me. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late. Had some tech problems. My beautiful, expensive mic is not working. So I'm using the earbuds. Hopefully it sounds okay for you. And it's odd because I'm going to show you a video, and in that video I thought, ooh, my mic isn't working. But it was. Okay, and so let's get into it, shall we? What are my crimes? It's not about my crimes today. It's about the crimes of Dr. David Minkoff. This morning I attended a hearing here in Clearwater. It was, just down the street from me here on Court Street, right downtown. There is a hearing in the case of the death of Whitney Mills, an OT8 Scientologist who dropped her body. I guess we're supposed to say unalive. Is that the rule here on YouTube? But she, back in 22, she dropped her body in a most horrific way, and she had been seeing Dr. David Minkoff, who is now added to this wrongful death lawsuit, civil suit from the family, and he was trying to get out of it today. So his attorney was trying to convince the judge, Your Honor, this is never going to work. So it was a really interesting thing here. Let me, before we go further, let me take a peek at who's here and say some quick hellos. All right, to do that, I hit the button that says comments. There we go. Pause for Andrea. Hello. Hello, Mark. Appreciate you covering this. I'll catch it on the replay. All right. Well, you have a nice night. It's kind of a replay anyway. You may have seen part of the video I'm going to show you, which is the little video I did with Tony Ortega right after the case. Goblin AFK says howdy. Howdy to you. Bridge 1872. Hi all. Hi to you. Okay, come on. You're not all saying hi to Bridge 1872. Everybody, come on, say hi. Be polite, for heaven's sakes. You got to be like Kelly, the consummate host. She said hi, or waved at least. All right. So as I was saying, I went to the hearing this morning at 11, and I thought it would be in just a regular courtroom. Instead, it was being held in the judge's chamber. And it was me and Aaron Smith-Levin was the only other person from the public who was there in the chamber. And Aaron had his laptop with him and was typing away, and so he had copious notes on everything. I can't type, really, and I would have been hunting and pecking if I did have my laptop. So I thought, I'm just going to concentrate. I'm going to remember every damn thing about this hearing. It'll be perfect. And for the most part, surprisingly, I did. I screwed up the attorney's name for Dr. Minkoff. I could have swore we saw him in the hallway after the hearing was over, and we rode down in the elevator with him. And I could have swore he told me his name was Keith, but apparently it's Kyle. So I stand corrected before I even make that mistake, as far as you're concerned. Um, Otherwise, I think basically, the entire thrust of how the hearing went, you'll hear described in this video I did with Tony. Rather than me trying to uh, recall it all again, I thought we'll just take a quick look at that, and then we'll talk some more about the case. And it's a case that I was aware of, I think, before the public was aware of it. I was on the city council, and there was a journalist who contacted me, and I it, it certainly wasn't um, Tracy McManus, because she can dig up anything she needs without my help. But I think it may have been German filmmakers that I've been working with. They were with me when I got, attacked by a hammer. And they're the ones who made Missing in Happy Valley, which is a great documentary from the late 90s that I recently upscaled to 4K, and it looks sweet. And I have that on my site. They have it on their site. And last night I was going to play some other unused clips from that show that has a Scientology official, Reverend Ken Hoden, kind of following their film crew around, trying to chase them away. So I'll play those things tomorrow night. I had a little trouble locating the last piece of it, so I said, we'll just ignore it for last night, and I'll do it tonight. And then this hearing happened, so I thought, well, this is irresponsible for me to not address this major story that I've never talked about at all. So I think it was these fellows in Germany who have done documentaries on suicides and deaths at the Fort Harrison. And with Whitney, she didn't die at the Fort Harrison, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But oddly enough, the same doctor who was involved in the Lisa McPherson wrongful death case worked with Whitney, and my God, it's disgusting seeing how she was treated and how this really directly led to her ending of her life. More details on that later, as I said. Today it was a small hearing from Minkoff's attorney, who was there in the judge's chambers, trying to do a Hail Mary and just get Minkoff dismissed from this case altogether. It did not go as well as Dr. Minkoff or the attorney would have wanted it to. But if you don't mind, why don't we now take a look at the interview I did immediately after the hearing with Tony Ortega.
Live here on Substack once again. Mark Bonker, thank you for joining us. You've had an adventure this morning. I don't know anything about it. I can't wait to hear. So 11 o'clock this morning, there was a hearing scheduled in the Layla Mills versus Church of Scientology lawsuit. She had added Dr. David Minkoff. He's not happy about that. His attorney, Kyle Fontaine, had filed a motion saying that she didn't observe Florida law correctly when she added him to the lawsuit. And some time ago, he scheduled this April 1st hearing. And you said you'd go down to the courthouse. What happened, Mark?
Well, I got there and discovered that it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The mic doesn't seem to be showing any lights indicating that it's picking up sound. Sorry about that. So I got there and I thought I'd be going into a hearing room, and instead this was being held in the judge's chambers. Being a member of the press, I was ushered back into the chambers, and it was an interesting affair. There was a conference table there. On one side was Fontaine, the attorney for Dr. Minkoff. He told me his first name was Keith.
Okay,
we wrote,
Keith Fontaine. Okay.
yeah, we rode down afterwards in the elevator together in a little awkward type of ride, but um, he was on one side of the table and the court stenographer was on the other. I was seated right at the end of the table against the wall over to the side. The judge was on the other side, and he was sitting at his desk and had computers open, screens open, because the attorney for the estate was calling in via Zoom, and that, of
Okay.
course, was Ray Rasco. And he apologized that he couldn't be there in person. His wife was ill. He had to be driving the kids back and forth to school and being there for her. He assured the judge, though, he'll be there live in person a month from today when they have their next appearance.
Right.
So basically, there were 2 points that were argued primarily by Minkoff's attorney. He wanted to stress 2 things: that, Your Honor, we asked for discovery, and they didn't give us all the text between the mom and Whitney. We got like 6 pages worth of text, but we didn't get them all. We want them all. We want them all. And he said, "Oh," the judge asked, "Well, what exactly does he need?" And the attorney said, "We want to know what type of phone she had, who the carrier was, what the numbers were." And the judge said, "What's that going to help you with? I mean, the make and model of the phone is that necessary? No." Uh, anyway, he still felt that he was not getting everything that was required. Um, that kind of went by the wayside, because once Ray Rasco responded to that part of it, he said, "Your Honor, we delivered more than 1,300 pages of discovery." And then the judge just let that go by. The most important thing that the judge was concerned about was the other main point that Fontaine was trying to make for Minkoff, and that was, "Your Honor, sure, they've got a neurologist and they've got what was the other expert?"
They got an infection specialist, a neurologist, and a
That's right.
professor of psychiatry.
Exactly. And they said, "Yeah, but Your Honor, there is no expert of quackery." you know, this is alternative medicine here that
Right. Right.
Dr.
Right.
Minkoff is doing. They didn't bring anybody forward to as an expert on alternative medicine. And the judge asked, "Well, what exactly is alternative medicine?" "Well, Your Honor, it would be practically anything." "Yeah, that's right. It would be everything under the sun. How do you have an expert in this?" So there was a lot of arguing back and forth with the judge, trying to get some sense of um, who possibly could testify. And they read through the statute in Florida here. Apparently, in Florida, a few years ago, there was a bill passed for cancer patients. So if they wanted to seek something other than radiology and chemotherapy, uh, they had the ability to go to an alternative quack. And so, Scientology is relying on that. We'll fight that to the end. And he fought and fought and fought, but the judge still came back to that central question: who? How would you? There's nobody who is qualified to testify on this, and that's a point made by Ray Rasco, who said, "Your Honor, there is no board certification for alternative medicine. We provided experts uh, in the things that Dr. Minkoff actually did for her, which
Right.
included blood tests, scans, gave her prescription medication, and also medications like the lithium, you know. And so we got experts who could talk to all of the things that actually were prescribed by Minkoff. And that argument won the day, because ultimately, after pretty much an hour's worth of back and forth on this, the judge still didn't have an answer for what would be an expert, who would be an expert. So you're covered. You've got all the experts you need, and he just denied the motion.
So I see that there are questions being starred by Kelly, so, and I'll get to all of those. I did see one that went by just a while ago asking why this was in the judge's chambers. That's up to the judge, but I think it was probably largely done because, as I mentioned in the video here, the attorney for the family could not be in the judge's chambers or at the courthouse because of his wife's illness. And the judge did it over Zoom. So I think that's really the reason why. But it was interesting.
Pretty
Wow.
summarily. I mean, once it got to the end of the arguments, he said denied.
Wow. Okay, so let's go over this again. So uh Layla Mills is suing the Church of Scientology over the suicide of her daughter. She added Dr. David Minkoff. Florida law required her to wait a period before she could add him to the lawsuit. You know, Mark, that's set up, and I'm not against it. The idea is maybe if you exchange some information, maybe there's a way to not make this a lawsuit.
Sure.
I understand that. So they made her wait that 90 days. They exchanged information, but she still added him to the lawsuit. One thing she did was she sought out these experts, and you just said it just right. So one thing that he did, for example, was Dr. Minkoff said that what her problem was that she had this chronic Lyme disease and that she had parasites, neither of which were true. And
Right.
so Layla Mills, the mom, her attorney Rasco, found these experts who are experts in that particular thing. And they
Exactly.
looked at it and said, look, if he was really serious about trying to find Lyme, he would have done this test and this test, and he didn't do them. So,
Right.
you know, Minkoff's attorney can come in and say, well, these weren't alternative medicine doctors. No, but they were experts in the exact thing that Minkoff was talking about and that he was completely wrong about. And it doesn't, so I'm glad the judge could see that, because I was a little worried in Florida that this kind of an argument would work. But as you're saying, these experts may not be alternative medicine doctors, but they are experts in what Whitney Mills was facing and how Dr. Minkoff just completely blew it. And then the other thing was that they argued that during that 90-day period that they didn't hand over enough information. But and I was curious about how that would go. But from what you said, when the judge asked them what material didn't you get, it was trivial. It sounds like it was trivial.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say also on the first point, the Mills attorney Ray Rasco made a very solid point about the misdiagnosis. He said the autopsy showed that she didn't have Lyme disease and that was not a malignant tumor.
Right.
And that's pretty damning. This
Yeah.
quack doctor is totally wrong on the information
Right.
he's giving her and how he's treating her. Good Lord, he
I
should
mean, imagine,
lawsuit.
and they made the point in their expert testimony that you're Whitney Mills, you're totally depressed, you're totally, distraught. Scientology doesn't want you to seek the most basic mental health care for what you're going through. So you go to Dr. Minkoff. He says, no, that's not the problem. Problem is you have cancer. I mean, imagine how that would affect her already terrible state of mind. And
Yeah.
it wasn't true. She did have a growth, and it was not malignant. Also, he told her she had parasites, which is
Yes.
like this total new. I mean, it's the go-to thing now. All these conspiracy theory folks think that all of their actual diseases are actually just parasites and they can kill it with ivermectin. It's crazy.
Well, now
Anyway,
wait a minute.
uh,
Okay, you could consider BTs parasites. I mean, they're attached
well,
to your body. I mean, that could be what he was referring to.
so tell me a little bit about Fontaine. And was he a young guy, older guy? Was he slick? How did he strike you?
Well, he struck me as professional. He was clean cut, white haired, a little older. Well, he was younger looking than what his hair would would suggest. Um,
Well, what I should have said is that on the scale of older guys looking like me or George Clooney, he was closer to George Clooney.
and he seemed like he's probably a very good guy, but how do you defend the indefensible here? He was not defending Scientology, and the word never
That's
came
true.
up except when the attorney for the Scientologists who were also on a Zoom call. They said, "Your Honor, we're not a party to this, but we represent the 4 Scientology entities, and we just wanted to hear what's going on." Essentially,
Okay. I was
but there
going to
was
ask. Okay, so they were on a Zoom, but they didn't really have anything to do with this particular hearing.
right. They were just an interested party. And again, there was absolutely no mention of Scientology or anything related to Scientology. It was all medical, all, just how do you get an expert testimony in something that you yourself can't define what it is?
How about the judge? What was your impression of him?
A judge I thought was terrific. He was no nonsense, to the point, and I think everything that he was asking were good, solid, basic questions that should have been easy to answer if there was a good answer for them. And I think he's zoned in on that immediately. That this is pretty weak, but I'll give you a chance. What's your answer? And it did not overcome the
I mean,
judge's.
that's the way it struck me was that look, Minkoff's paying money. He's got a defense attorney. That first attorney is going to raise whatever issues he can, and so he's going to raise the issue that you gave us information, but not enough information. And these were things that just didn't seem like big problems, and I guess the judge didn't see it that way as well. So okay, next will be a month from now. I believe that's going to be his motion to dismiss. They're going to be considering.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
So that's the one. That's the one where Fontaine complained that they brought up Lisa McPherson.
Oh yeah, he did mention that in passing. Not Lisa McPherson, but the fact that there's all this extraneous material in here. Uh, my client saw Whitney from this date to this date in his office, and it was a minimal interaction. He said, "Go get a scan, get some blood tests, go take care of this." That was it. That was it, Your Honor. Very, very, very much ignoring everything else that was going on
Well,
around.
and I think what makes this case more interesting though is that may be the case. She may have had kind of minimal contact with him.
Mhm.
It's the texts he sent
Yeah,
her that
yeah,
are just insane.
yeah, yeah. I was reading some of those again this morning. It is incredibly damning. So hopefully all of that will be coming out in whatever trial happens, and hopefully there will be a trial.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it's a different kind of case because you've got the Scientology entities on one side, and they're going to be trying to prove that the people telling her to drop the body were not doing so on behalf of the Church of Scientology. So I have a feeling what they're going to do is what they usually do. You and I know that Scientology is a very hierarchical, very rules oriented operation. And if somebody is if what Scientologist is telling another person drop the body, they've been told to say that by higher ups, and it probably goes way high. But but when it gets to court, then it's like, well, we don't tell people what to say. We don't tell people what to do. We have nothing to do with what's going on.
Sure.
So I have a feeling that's what Scientology is dealing with. But then Minkoff's situation is much different because there are court records. I mean, there are medical records of what he did. So it's two very different kinds of cases that are kind of smushed into one case. But so far, sounds like we've got an attorney. I mean, a judge who kind of understands what the real stakes are here.
Yeah, I do think so. I think the case is in good hands with this judge, and yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of the case, but Scientology put people living in her apartment, didn't they? In the remaining days of her life, didn't they have live-in OTs that were kind of watching over her? Or
Oh, then she had handlers. Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And that's all going to come out. I think we're going to get a
yeah,
lot more information about that as the trial comes closer. And pick another idea. The idea is pointing out that chronic Lyme disease is not the correct term, and that's the point. Pick is that what Minkoff is telling people. He's telling a lot of people they have chronic Lyme disease, which doesn't. It's not correct. It's not a correct medical diagnosis. It's quackery. I'm not saying Lyme disease is quackery. We know that
sure,
Lyme disease is a real disease, and there are real treatments for it. He's calling this thing chronic Lyme disease, which is just a conspiracy. And it was something that this poor Whitney, another one of the things this poor Whitney was saddled with, besides cancer she didn't have and parasites she didn't have. So
yeah,
just I mean, come on, and then what the number one thing these experts were complaining about was that this doctor, as a Scientologist, didn't do the most basic thing, and that is refer her to professional psychiatric care, which is what
exactly.
she clearly needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. Well, so and then what kind of an experience was it for you, Mark? Did you enjoy that?
I did. It was quite fascinating to be there in the judge's chambers for this.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, man.
My pleasure. Look forward to going back May 1st.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Mark Bunker. That's our quick report. I will be posting this for everyone else to see, but those of you who are subscribers with us live, thank you very much. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, there you go. That was my full report. I don't think that I had anything else that I wanted to add in there. Let me go back and look through these questions that have been starred. Mark, this is from Bridge 1872. How do you feel about Minkoff still running a medical business in Clearwater? You think it's used to recruit people to Scientology? Well, I think that that be a pretty lousy way to recruit, but I think it's more just that his clientele, all the Scientologists in the area, are right there. So he's got a practice here in Clearwater, and he's got one in LA as well. And I don't know where else he might have one of his centers, but I suppose if somebody randomly came in because they were looking for quackery instead of a doctor, he might lead them toward Scientology at some point, but I don't think that's the main point of him being here. I think he's just like he knows his clientele. Why isn't this receiving international attention? Would it not help Whitney's family? Asks Adora. I hope that everyone can remember and respect that Whitney was a beautiful young woman inside and out. Yeah, actually, did garner worldwide attention. Once, and I'm not saying this is because of me, but once I got a look at the police report on her passing, it was frightening. And it was the type of thing where you go, this might be bigger than Lisa McPherson, or as big. And when that finally hit the paper, and Tracy did a great job with it, but there were newspapers everywhere, from Huffington Post to European major outlets. So the story got out there, was covered extensively, and in the beginning, and now it's quiet. I mean, you're not seeing a lot of new reports about Lisa McPherson. But once this actually goes to trial, once we're in the courtroom and Scientology stuff is being, batted around back and forth, believe me, it's going to go global at that point again. And this other one I answered already when I paused. I think it was there because of the Zoom call. Now let's go back to the rest of your comments here. Hey, comments. There we go. Wait a minute. I'm only. Oh, there we go. Now they're popping up. Had me a little concerned there. All right. Mark, a family member in Florida was referred to Minkoff from their dentist for treatment. They ended up reversing the thousands of dollars charged on their credit card, since Minkoff's office said the issue was Lyme disease. How about that? Yeah, it seems to be a catch-all. You don't know what's happening? Well, it's hard to diagnose Lyme disease. So it's Lyme disease. Minkoff already lost his license for a year over the Lisa McPherson case. He ought to lose it again permanently. It's outrageous. And I looked up, I don't know if you're familiar with the texts that were exchanged between Minkoff and Whitney, but I do have them here. And let me bring this up here. This is actually from the lawsuit itself. And let me come over here. I'll just read some of these off here for you. To do that, I'm going to have to come over to the big screen. Let me make this, do it this way, so it'll be a little easier for you to see. And where's it? Is this it? Nope, this is it. All right. So this first text from Dr. Minkoff was February 26, 2022, 5:50 in the morning. Hi, it's Dr. M. How you doing? Thinking about you. And then she replied, hi, Dr. Minkoff. The pressure in my head is so intense, won't seem to go away no matter what I do. Is there anything that can help relieve it? Thank you for texting me. It feels like brain inflammation or swelling or something. Is there something for the pressure and fluid that I could take to relieve it? Can I take steroids? The pressure is so bad, I can't get out of bed. Or is there something else that would help? And then Minkoff responded, are you taking anything for pain? We could try a diuretic. Does caffeine help? Have you ever used migraine meds? And she says, I've taken Advil, but it doesn't relieve the pressure. I tried coffee too, and it didn't help. I'd be willing to try a diuretic, and no, I haven't taken migraine meds, but willing to at this point. Will this go away when the Lyme is gone? Yes, says Dr. Minkoff. Did you start the ivermectin? Okay, let's try the diuretic. Have you tried tramadol for pain or Toradol? Yes, I did start it. Okay. The headache pain has subsided, but it's just the pressure still there, and it doesn't go away with anything. And oh no, I have not tried those for that was cut off. But Dr. Minkoff says, want to try it? Yes. Do you have it? She says. Yes. Oh yeah, I'll get it tomorrow, says Whitney. Okay. And then Whitney adds, is there anything else for the mental part, I'm seriously experiencing some mental illness. This is my biggest symptom, is the mental part. My only symptoms are brain inflammation and brain dysfunction, changed personality, no emotions, anxiety, depression, brain fog, perceptions and awareness are off. Got it, says the doctor. Drugs could numb you, but you are OT. Put TRO in. Uh, it's a sensation. It's noise. It has no power over you. That's the truth. I are the tiger. You are loved. You have friends. And LRH. Duplicate it. Dissolve it. That is your power. You can be tone 40 with your TRO. That's you as cause. I know you can. Much love, Dr. Minkoff. And she replies, okay, thank you. And then he checked back with her on April 7th, just saying hello. Hello. Hi. Do you know how long about it takes to kill off the Lyme and then the brain inflammation will go away? She asks. Usually 6 to 12 weeks. Once this mass is out of the body, that will have the bandwidth to do something about it. Once this mass is out, then the body will have the bandwidth to do something about it. And this is, of course, the mass in her ovaries that turned out to be benign, but Minkoff was telling her it's malignant. So she's asking him now also, can you recommend anything else for the mental problems? Did you do the CBD? Yeah, but it's not helping. Hey, what about amino acid 4? I read it's supposed to help get neurotransmitters back and rewire the brain. Perfect. Amino is better. So now she's prescribing things. Oh, perfect. Okay, she asks, is there anything else for the mental problems? I'm really struggling with that part. This is the hardest part, to be acting insane when I'm not. I started neurofeedback today, and Dr. Minkoff asks, how did it go? And I guess I don't have the rest of those. Oh, well, let's see where we pick up again. So I don't have that exact follow-up, but needs. So she's talking to somebody else now. And again, I haven't read this whole thing in a long time. She's telling whoever this is, I wish it wasn't in my brain. It's so annoying that I have it so bad and so bad mentally. The D of P, what's that, director of processing in Scientology? The D of P wants me to come in for an interview. Oh, a D of P is good. I said something really dumb on the phone today. She said, uh-oh, what did you say? Albertina told me there's an assist for someone that is really sick and to drop the body. I asked for that assist. Oops, is the reply. I think I'm in trouble now, says Whitney. They know you're desperate with this ongoing situation. Yeah. And then she dropped her body in the most horrific way. It is disgusting. Somebody who needs help, who needs professionals, is relying on Scientology and Scientologist doctors like Minkoff. You know, he lost his license with Lisa McPherson because he was prescribing medication for her over the phone without seeing her. You know, it's amazing to me that he still has a practice, but there you go. I wonder if they were referring to the e-meter as neurofeedback says power lies to paralyze. I don't know. See, I imagine you had some things to say here while I was reading that. This is so uh, this is so horribly sad and incomprehensible, says Marcy. Bridget, 1872 says, reading the review of Minkoff's medical office on different platforms like Yelp is interesting, and we should do that. What was giving her the pressure in the head? Well, worries, panic, the fact that she's, feeling miserable and she's being told that she's got a malignant tumor, and the doctor was urging her to go in for surgery with that. And she said she didn't want to be put under. And I don't know if that was because of the Scientologist aversion to creating new engrams while being unconscious. I think that may be part of it, but I don't know that for sure. But it did not help a woman who's depressed, who's begging for mental health, to be told, you'll be fine. And, if you're not fine, you'll just drop dead from your cancerous tumor pretty soon. So it'll all be over then. You'll drop your body and then start over again. But the sheer panic that this woman was living with, and Scientology learned their lessons in Lisa McPherson's case, and that lesson was, don't allow somebody who's having any type of psychotic break anywhere near the Fort Harrison. So for Whitney's case, they sent handlers over to stay with her, and I think toward the end they actually had some handlers living with her. Still, they left, and then she dropped her body. But Scientology was involved every bit as much as they were with Lisa McPherson. They just tried to keep their distance, but you can be assured they got updates constantly on what was going on there. Minkoff should go to prison. Prison's too good for him. Oh, wait a minute. I said, Kelly, I didn't know you wrote that there. I just said that. Let's see. Agree, power, that Minkoff should go to prison. Kelly, inflammation encephalitis, causing the brain pressure. What do we have here? Kelly, truth. So, Kelly, I'm not sure what the question was. That was a good question. But when our relative had their first visit, they came home with bags of medicine and vitamins. Is that their first visit to Minkoff? The other kind of untraditional method that was mentioned in the hearing today from Minkoff was he gave her lithium, he gave her prescription drugs, but then a lot of stuff also went to what do they call that? The chemists who do the mixing and grinding of their own medication. I should know the name of that, for God's sakes. So there are all sorts of stuff like that was going on. So more on encephalitis is inflammation of the active tissues of the brain caused by an infection or an autoimmune response. The inflammation causes the brain to swell, which can lead to headache, stiff neck, sensitivity to light, mental confusion, and seizures. Good Lord, Kelly, you are an expert in this. It's like you almost copied and pasted that after a Google search. So good for you. Makes me so angry, but I also want to cry, says Marcy. And here's a suggestion from Michael Bridge. Maybe your relative's experience would be relevant. I should look at the words when I'm trying to read them. Would be relevant to the Mills case. So you know, there's probably a way to get word to them if there's anything that you think might be helpful. Dear. Kelly wisely says, and I know she didn't get this from Google. This is her own thought. If a doctor causes enough damage to lose his license, then they should ever be given back. Right. I guess it's not that uncommon for somebody to be punished temporarily and then, okay, you've learned your lesson. Now don't let another Scientologist die on your watch. It's disgusting how he is walking free and making a sweet living. I mean, in the case of Lisa McPherson, he reached a settlement with the McPherson family for $100,000 to settle that, along with losing his license. So he probably has plenty of money to fork over to the family in this case too. And this from Bridge, 1872. Jay, probably they went back to the office recording on their phone. Went back to the office recording on their phone, asking for all their money back. The relative had no idea this office was connected to Scientology. That's the account we were hearing about in an earlier comment. To support me, hey, there's some good suggestions. And I know Kelly doesn't need to copy and paste these. She just types that out every single time she puts that up on the screen. She's fast that way. What is an assist for dropping a body? You know, I don't know what the assist would be, but it's essentially saying, it's okay to go now. I suppose it's, in our terms, it might be somebody on their deathbed who you say it's all right to leave now, with no more pain for you. But somebody out there, if you can point us to the drop your body assist, I'd be happy to read that. I know Kelly doesn't need Google. Who needs Google? Apothecary? I think that might be right. I think that might be the mixture stuff. First, do no harm. Second, do no Scientology. Kelly says fuzzy pink handcuffs should probably throw in a priestess or something in there too. Hey, listen. So, I mean, this is a truly tragic case. Young woman, she was 40, I believe. Successful real estate agent here in Clearwater. Beautiful. OT8 was the only hang up there. I mean, when you find yourself your reality twisted so much into L. Ron Hubbard's reality, that's criminal in itself. And Adora, you're correct. There's no amount of money that could pay what a life is worth, that is worth her life. Sorry. All the things she wanted to do, all the hopes and dreams lost, no money would be enough. Well, it's certainly not about the money. But hopefully, that's all you can get in a civil case. You can get punishment. And if it's a big enough fine to cause Minkoff some pain, that may be about all we can get from it. Paralyzed to paralyze, I believe the e-meter is used to cause massive disassociation. Then the person can easily drop the body. The deaths are so bizarre, one would have to be out of their minds. Literally. Why didn't the Clearwater PD look into this? They did. They did a they did an investigation, and she dropped her body. And they found the crime scene. There was nobody else's hand that was responsible for it, except the when you look deeper into it, the Scientology practices, Minkoff's quackery. Certainly, those are all key factors in this. But that's not a police thing. That's write up the report, get the information to the courts, and see if the district attorney wants to do something about it. In the case of Lisa McPherson, back in, I think that the case was brought a few years after she died, so I think it was 98 or so when the case was turned over to the district attorney. And then our state attorney said, yes, we're going to rightfully blame this on Scientology and sue Scientology for a wrongful death. And it was the first time in the country that a church here in the States had been charged with essentially murder. And the district attorney spent a lot of money trying that case. It was a fortune for them. And Scientology spent 10 times as much to derail the case. And ultimately, putting so much pressure on Joan Woods, the examiner, that she changed her opinion from, what was it, something like can't be determined, undeterminable, something like that, to accidental. And then once Joan Woods said, well, it was an accidental death, then the district attorney said, all right, we're dropping the case. We can't win now. And I think the pain and the money that it cost to take on the McPherson case with no good outcome, I think that makes them gun shy in suing Scientology again. That's my feeling on what's behind it. It's not easy to get anyone involved on the state or federal side. And then when you try and you just get buried, you give up. It's like when Jesse Prince had his trial. Scientology set him up on this drug charge, and Jesse was his home was stormed at like 5:30 in the morning when he and his wife or his girlfriend rather, and her kids were all asleep in the home, and the Largo police came in with guns drawn and put him in handcuffs and led him away with Dee and the kids in tears. And then he stood trial for that, and it was a hung jury. They couldn't decide. And in that case, again, the charge could have been, there could have been another trial set, But the district attorney looked at it and went, well, we didn't win this one. We're probably not going to win it if we try it again. We're not going to waste the money on it. So those are decisions that get made that may be good, like in the case of Jesse Prince, but also can be damn annoying in something like Lisa McPherson. She truly was a light in this world. She was fun and silly. Above all else, she was kind always. They have to be brought down, says Adora. If they'd done their jobs with Lisa McPherson, Whitney would still be alive. And that brings up a good question that Kelly asked. Did Adora know her? Mark, any updates on the video? I believe Clearwater tour on the other YouTube channel. Please post a reminder or link when it is posted. Oh, you mean the guys from Milwaukee who came in to do a piece? No, I don't have any updates on that yet. It seems like these guys take their time to actually edit a really nice package. I looked at some of their other stuff, and they're very well done, which is probably why he has 2 million followers. But when it's up, we shall all watch it and sit back and chuckle and go, ooh, that was good. So Adora did know Whitney, and I think we all agree with Kelly that we're sorry for your loss. So do you have any other memories you'd like to share about Whitney, Adora? Well, but this can't happen again, and unfortunately, it's destined to happen again, because Scientology can't be changed. They refuse to change. So the same madness continues. Oh, hey, since this was court stuff, it reminded me that in one of the last streams I did with you, when I was talking about my arrest in Chicago, I mentioned that I had a really nice mugshot. And I do. And I tried to download it to show you here. And for some reason, it's not allowing me to just put up the JPEG. But last night I thought, well, let me try animating this. So I do have my mugshot with a little bit of animation. So look at this dreamy guy. This is me in Chicago. Oops, go ahead. This is me posing in the police station. And as I said, I think it's a nice shot. If the lighting had been better, I would have made that my official portrait. And you should see the other grotesque versions of this video. When I first made it, I said, the man gives a slight smile and winks to the camera. And it came back with this hideous grin. And I went, oh God, no. And so I tried it again with it's a tiny little smile and a wink. And it came back with even something more grotesque. And this time I said, no smile. I just wink at the camera. And instead, what I got is me sitting there blinking. Yep, there you go. Blink, blink. So consider that a wink. Mother's Guari, am I pronouncing that correctly? I would dearly love to see more ex-Scientologists in Clearwater speak out at these meetings. Deep gratitude for me, apparently, remaining strong. Yeah, there's going to be more, another vote on the selling of Garden Street to Scientology on Thursday night, so I'll be going to that and speaking. I don't know how many ex-Scientologists there are in the area who want to bother to come out. you're kind of, you know, whistling into the wind in many respects when you go to these meetings. But I think it's still important to go and make your point, and just let them know some folks are watching. Maybe only a couple of us in the council chambers, but lots and lots of people around the world following. Marcy believes that was a very lovely picture of me. And, oh, you're right, it was. Phoenix Book Girl, is that what that is? He should never have been allowed to practice again. I wonder if his daughter, Minkoff's daughter, who was on Real Housewives of someplace, allows him to still treat her children anymore. I sure wouldn't. Seductive mugshot. This? Oh yeah, I can see it. Wow, he's dreamy. Marcy's got to get up early. I know what that's like. You have a good night. Thanks for coming by here. Oh, let me get that off the screen. Boom. An iconic mugshot is such a major win at life. You and Lindsay Lohan, how about that? Yeah. And I did put my mugshot up on Twitter when Trump had his glaring mugshot, which is now his official presidential portrait. I can't believe it. Yeah. I said wrong way with Trump's picture for a mugshot. Right way. Look, this is how you take a mugshot. They refused to let me smile because I had a pretty big grin on my face as they were taking the picture, and they said, "Stop it, stop, no smiling." But I still have a little bit of a smirk in there, and I am dreamy. That's so true. Adora, there's a video here on YouTube. If Whitney talking about her desire, oh, is this Whitney talking about her desire for an electric car? She was obviously very lovely and bright. I'm sorry for your loss. I haven't seen that video. I actually went searching for some video earlier this evening. I found a lot of people doing videos like this, talking about the case. I couldn't even find a local newscast about it, though. There were so many people making videos on this subject, which is good. That's another way this story rockets the planet and stays right there at the forefront of everyone's attention. Any chance they will put back up the message board? Jesse? I have to say, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. So fill me in. And thank you, Adora, for coming here and sharing your thoughts and the fact that you really knew her. Clam bake, is that what Kelly's asking? Is that the message board you were talking about? I haven't been over to Xenu.net since Andreas died. I don't know who's managing it now for him. I'm sure he put somebody in charge of it. The title of the video is March 13th, 2019 on her YouTube channel, Whitney Mills. Any chance you could get the link for that, Kelly? I'd be like, oh, well, there she goes. She's on it already. Boom. So hopefully we'll all have a chance to watch that. I have a hybrid. I don't have a fully electric car. I live in an apartment, so there's no place for me to have the charging system. Um, but I really love my Prius. Hello, I have no idea if it is in the know now or mainstream, but Scientology seems to pop up now. People like religions. Okay, let me check the private chat because we apparently, Kelly, has, on the ball, has the link for me. So I'm going to open this up and then I'll share this page and we can all watch this. All right. And here we go. Oh, I need to get back to, oh, I know you're probably seeing this. I can't see. Oh, here we go. Let me do this. So I have to start it over on the YouTube page, but I want to make sure that it's being seen. You're on StreamYard. So I'm back in StreamYard and adding this to the stage. Now we're moving. Now we're getting somewhere. And now let me go full screen with this and we will watch this. Yeah, she looks lovely here.
Hi, my name is Whitney Mills. I'm 37 years old and I live in Clearwater, Florida. I have never driven an electric car before, but I would love to try one. I'd love to test drive one. I'd love to test drive the Nissan Leaf. For me, having an electric car is really important for one, the environment. This is a big planet. We have a lot of people on this planet and we want it to last a long time for the future generation. So an electric car is a perfect solution for the environment and pollution. Secondly, I live really close to the beach and I'm always going to the beach and there is so much traffic, especially during spring break and summertime. So for me, having an electric car would be amazing because when I'm sitting in traffic, I wouldn't be wasting gas and it would be so much easier to get to the beach and I would save money on gas. I do a lot of driving in general, so I'm always spending so much money on gas and it would just be so much easier. And I have ridden in an electric car before and it was very smooth and so quiet and just such a nice, peaceful ride. I really noticed a difference with it. And so for me, test driving an electric car, especially the Nissan Leaf, would be amazing. I love Nissans. I've owned several Nissans. I had a Nissan Sentra. I had two Nissan Maximas, and they always were great cars for me. They did me great. So I'm a big fan of Nissans, and I love the body style of the Nissan Leaf. Like some electric cars are not the most attractive looking cars, but the Nissan Leaf, it's very stylish and it looks really nice. So I would love to test drive a Nissan Leaf and be able to just feel more about it, learn more about it. And yeah, so thank you.
Wow. Thank you
Tonight.
for, well, okay. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for suggesting that video. This is the first time I've seen or heard her. I mean, I've seen plenty of pictures and she was a lovely woman. But to see her live talking with delightful voice, lots of life, it really hits home. Ah, what a shame. What a beautiful young lady. Yeah. So there will be justice. It won't be enough for us. We won't be seeing Minkoff behind bars. But her story will get out once the trial starts. Get out again and fly around the world, and she will be fondly remembered by so many. Listen, I think let me check what Power Lies is saying here. She would have been OT7 here as she completed in January 19, and then in May 19, she completed OT8. Okay, thank you. Good to know. And if only being an OT8 actually did give you the ability to be cause over everything. If it really did allow you to handle anything that comes your way. Unfortunately, you're just made to believe that you have that ability because everyone around you is going, "Oh, you're an OT8. Oh my God, such a powerful being." So you kind of start to think, well, I am really something big here. I know, some people they start to think that they're a national treasure just because everybody around them is saying it. I would hate to be in a situation like that. This is what the movement is for. Please don't let the drama and chaos deter that. Yeah, I agree. Oh, okay. We were talking about the message board, and I saw this in passing. Jesse said, I meant the city council message board, the one where people can post things. I have to admit, I am not aware of the council message board. I know that people could write in their comments to the council if you couldn't show up in person. You could send in your comments, and then our city clerk would read them. I don't know if you're talking about an actual online message board or the fact that apparently they've stopped allowing any comments in person that are things to not on the agenda. I didn't realize that they had cut them all off. So when you come now, you have to be talking about the topic at hand. Luckily, Thursday night, I will be able to bring in Erica's arrest, because when I'm talking about Scientology closing down Garden Street for the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, the main reason for doing that is to stop any protests in front of the building, and then I can bring up Erica's arrest and try to find a little justice for that. So Trixie0509, behind as usual, tramadol is an opioid. Are Scientologists allowed to use them? I remember some other creators saying that they felt guilty using Advil. Yeah, that's the case. You're kind of convinced that you shouldn't take aspirin. But Minkoff is prescribing some pretty serious heavy drugs like lithium. And it's one of those things where he's squirreling the tech, I guess. They would have to do the Purif after using tramadol. Tramadol sounds like a planet from Slaughterhouse-Five. I don't know if you ever saw that film. It's a book by what's his name? God, I should know this. Anyway, it was turned into a film that I really love back in the 70s. And I think the planet that was part of it was Tramador, something like that. Kurt Vonnegut. Yep, I knew somebody would have it. Thank you, Kurt Vonnegut. Slaughterhouse-Five. Man, that movie impressed me. I thought that was incredibly well directed. And I pop it in every once in a while. I've got a copy of it here. Hey, we should be wrapping this up, but what did I want to mention, uh, movie and TV wise? I think I talked the other night about how much I loved um, Paradise, which is on Netflix. Um, and again, if you haven't seen Paradise, it's well worth watching. And I watched the first episode of The Studio, but haven't watched the second yet. I haven't had a chance to watch much of anything, but the Studio was very funny. And then last night, late at night, I said I'm going to watch uh, uh, um, Seth Meyers. I love Seth Meyers. I think his show is terrific. But Nathan Lane was the guest, and Nathan Lane is one of the funniest guys around. And he's not a stand-up comic, but he always comes in with great material and great timing. He's one of those guys that talk show hosts love because he's not just coming in and sitting there and going, I got a new project. I want to talk about that. No, he comes gunning for bear, and he had me laughing so hard that I actually laughed through the entire commercial break, and my cats were a little concerned about me. Uh, and I made a clip of it, but I forgot to put it up here. I was going to play that. It's did I email it to me? Maybe we can watch it. There's one little bit he did that was most amusing to me. Let me see. Let me see. No, looks. No, I don't see it here, so I did not email it to myself. Oh well, next time. He did a bit about Jerry Lewis being a guest star in Severance. That was hysterical. Lumen. Ah. Just catching this, but I'll definitely be watching this after I'm finished. Thank you, Laura. Trixie. Trixie says, I heard today that Minkoff is board certified in pediatrics. Yeah. He hasn't practiced being a pediatrician in a couple of decades, apparently. But that's one thing that he was board certified in. It is not the thrust of his quackery at this point. But at one point, he did get board certified, and I guess that doesn't go away, even if you kill a couple people. Why is he treating adults? I live in another country, so I'm not sure about the rules, but specialists I work with practice in their area. One of two, so here's two of two. If something is outside their scope of practice, then they refer to someone else. It's called patient-centered care. Yeah, and again, this is not the practice that he does anymore. So he is no longer listed as a pediatrician. Instead, he's one of these magical guys who does alternative medicine. And Kelly's so wise. And look, even does it matter to you, not to me? He says, please support your streamers. Mark has been at it for years and years and years and years. Oh, and I was editing a lot of video from London and East Grinstead from the anonymous visit over there. So I'll have that soon. There's so much going on, so much. I'm trying to get stuff out for you every day if I can. Yeah, don't forget my merch store. You got to have yourself a What Are Your Crimes hat or a Bunkinetics mug. Oh my God, a Wise Beard Man t-shirt. It's a nice thing to sleep in. I'm sorry, I just remembered that when I was working at a TV station in San Diego, this was during the Wise Beard Man the creation myth from Anonymous, and I had some items created on another service, and I had some Wise Beard Man song, and one of the female reporters thought that was hysterical, so I ordered her a pair, which she enjoyed. Not that I got to see them in action, but I think that was, one of two sales. And I'm sorry, those are out of stock. You're going to have to deal with a shirt or a hat or a delightful mug. Poweralized to Paralyzed has been watching me since 2006. What took you so long? I started in '98, but I accept your apology and thanks for following me all these years. It really does mean a lot. Mark, I know you are busy restoring many videos. Do you also plan to tape new interviews? Uh, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. There are so many people now doing these live streams, interviewing, just so many new people that I've never heard from before. I'm kind of stuck with, not having been a Scientologist myself. I'm kind of stuck with the stuff that the people that I've met over the years, the people that we've become friends. But definitely, I'm not opposed to it. Every once in a while, I do. But I think there are people who are doing a much better job now of being able to ask some really smart questions because they've been in Scientology, so they know the experience more than I have, more than I do as an outsider. I have a general knowledge that comes in handy. Trixie wonders what I'm assuming you're wondering what Minkoff's defense would be: incompetence. Surely he can't use Scientology. No, no. As a healthcare professional, your beliefs and personal opinions should never impact patient care, but of course they do. I mean, how can you not? If you're an OT yourself and your clientele are OTs, how can you not say to a person who's desperately begging for mental health that, listen, get your TRs in. Come on, we all believe in you. You got this. Good Lord, Hubbard gave her all that she needed to survive this, according to them. I mean, it's just this reality that you buy into it. But Dora says we have to remember what her mom is fighting for, reminding people that this was real, a daughter, a sister, a friend. There should be emotion behind this, not chaos, not drama. And you are correct. And that's that's the most important reason for doing something like this. There's little in the way of justice. Nothing can compare with the pain of loss. But good God, you want to know that people see and they understand, and we should not allow this to happen again. Mhm. So, Paul, are you saying when you started back in 2006 watching me that you were still in Scientology? That's interesting. I think there are people like that still around today who are secretly watching videos. And it's a good way of, deprogramming yourself, starting to think for yourself finally after having that slogan drilled into you. Just a way to remind people that Whitney is not just a photo of a pretty face. She was important. She was invaluable. And thank you for the video. Well, thank you. YouTube watcher, I will put "Doesn't Matter to You" on the hot seat, but hoping Mark could bring some people he worked with in the past. Also waiting for that interview with Jerry, aren't we all? I can't say I'm the fastest person around. And Power Lies to Paralyze says, Adora, Whitney will never be forgotten in this community. No, in 2006, I just left, says Power Lies. In 1998, I was still in. Okay, very good. Yeah, I didn't expect you to be watching while you were in. Hey, should we call it a night? It has been it has been I think cathartic for me. I'm glad that I could be in the judge's chambers today to report on what was done. And I look forward to being there on May 1st. We'll see if the judge is told that I'm not a member of the press on May 1st, and see if they can bar me. But I have been allowed in that courthouse to videotape trials in the past. I didn't ask for this. Would be nice. Maybe I should when an actual trial comes around. But if Scientology is saying I am not a journalist, well, I just have to bring this with me next time, I guess. See? Emmy-winning journalist. Braggart. Tammy says, if this could happen to Whitney, it could happen to our loved ones still in. My daughter is an OT7 battling BT. Body things, I'm assuming. But I don't know if that's, I was concerned that maybe BTs is standing for some sort of illness as well. All right. Okay. It was body things. Thank you. All right. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to call it a night, and I appreciate everyone coming by. I do have things lined up for tomorrow, and I think it'll be fun. And I'll try to have something every night this week. But I thought I'd be able to do that last night, and then it all fell apart at the last moment. Because there was one piece of the puzzle that I was trying to add, and I couldn't do it. And I just be tired. Doesn't matter to you, not to me. Says, I only left the drama. I'm still here, and you're always welcome here. I try to keep the drama out. Somebody on Aaron's channel, I took a look at his report from the chambers, and somebody said, Mark didn't mention Aaron when he was talking to Tony. Well, yeah, because there's seems to be a lot of animosity there where Tony gets a lot of crap from Aaron's followers or had in the past. So I didn't think it was worth stirring anything up there. But it was, I'm glad that Aaron was there to take the copious notes that he did, and it was, I think, a great experience for both of us. All right. So Jesse says, good night. Good night to you. Good night to all of you. Okay. Say, everybody, say good night to Kelly. Give her the applause. She outdid herself, doing spectacular. That's the mod that you want right there, and you can't have her. She's exclusive. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm delighted that she's helping. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't go with. If I do forget to applaud you, shame on me. All right. So until tomorrow, you folks have a wonderful night, okay? And I'll see you at Xenu TV.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Your crimes are hidden, they should be seen. Spin all out, Mark, and just come clean.